Let's take a look at this workbook question from Lesson 1. Third Federal Bank is in a national search for a new director of human resources. The recruiting budget is $30,000. So far, the bank has spent $8,600 on advertising, $7,650 on interviewing, and the bank is willing to pay 5.5% commission to a broker for selling the new director's home. What is the maximum selling price on which the bank would pay 5.5% commission and stay within its budget? Okay, the most important thing we can ever do in a question is simply identify what it is we're solving for. And I know that sounds obvious, but it's really important to think about what we're solving for, plan out how we're going to do it, and then execute that solution. So step 1, think about what we're solving for. So we are solving for maximum selling price. Well, maximum selling price of what? Of the director's home. So as they recruit this person, they're going to sell their home and relocate them. And they're saying that there's a maximum selling price on which the bank would pay a 5.5% commission, and that would allow them to stay within their recruiting budget. So we are solving for the selling price on the new director's home. Now consider what kinds of equations we're going to need in order to solve this. So we don't have an equation called selling price of the home, but what we do have is a recruiting cost equation. Now, I know that this is a useful equation, this total recruiting cost, not only because it was just introduced in this lesson, but also because the total recruiting cost equation mentions the terms that were listed in this problem, such as advertising costs, interviewing costs, and then hiring costs. Now, hiring costs is kind of a sticky term. I don't really like it. In this case, when they talk about hiring costs, what they're talking about is the rate of commission multiplied by the sale price of the home. Okay, so I know that's a little misleading. So hiring costs in this context is equal to the rate of commission multiplied by the sale price of the home. Now, I knew that this total recruiting cost equation was useful because I read the question, and in that question they mentioned recruiting, they mentioned advertising, they mentioned interviewing, they mentioned the commission, and the home price. So they mentioned every single one of these variables, and that's how I know that this is going to be a useful equation for me. Now, remember that my goal here is to solve for this, sale price of the home. I like to start by filling in the information I already know and then seeing where I'm left. So for example, I know that the recruiting budget is $30,000, so I'm going to sub that into total recruiting costs. I've got $30,000. Next, I will put in my advertising costs and interviewing costs. So I've got $8,600 plus $7,650. Now the last piece is hiring costs. So here's what I'm going to do. Since hiring costs are equal to rate of commission times sale price of the home, instead of actually writing out hiring costs, I can write in this phrase instead because they are equivalent. Okay, that's what this equal sign means. It means that if I write this thing on the left or this thing on the right, it's the same value. So instead of writing hiring costs, I'm going to write rate of commission, which I actually know to be 5.5%. So I'm going to write in 0.055 multiplied by sale price of the home. Okay, so let's review what just happened. Again, I substituted in all the information I know. So putting in recruiting cost, advertising, and interviewing was all straightforward. The trick was, when it came to hiring costs, we didn't write the word hiring or the term hiring costs. We wrote in the equivalent expression, which is rate of commission multiplied by sale price of the home. But I recognized that I didn't actually have to write in the term rate of commission because they gave it to me. It's 5.5%. Remember that we never actually use percentages in our equations. It just doesn't make sense to compute percentages with dollar amounts. So instead, we convert to a decimal, and we get 0.055. So now we have this pretty one whole equation that only has one variable that we need to solve for. So from here, it's just a matter of simplifying to solve for sale price of the home. So from here, I would probably just leave the $30,000 as is. On the right-hand side, I would simplify these two, so I would add them together to get $16,250, right? That'd be my first step. Sale price, I'm just going to write sale price to save time. Continuing from there, I would divide both sides of the equation by $16,250. And once I had done that, let's see, that would leave me with $13,750 is equal to 0.055 times the sale price of the home. From there, it's a matter of dividing both sides of the equation by 0.055, which would tell me that the sale price of the home is equal to $250,000. So let's review what happened here. We started by reading the problem and identifying what we were solving for, which was the sale price of the home. Then I used context clues from the paragraph, so noticing the terms that they mentioned, and I grabbed the equation that included all of those terms, which was total recruiting cost. To solve total recruiting cost, you need hiring cost, and that hiring cost equation included the variable that we wanted to solve for, sale price of the home. Next, I just plugged in everything I had, which allowed me to create a one variable equation so I could solve for sale price of the home. From there, it was a matter of simplifying, and I find that the maximum price that they can sell this home for and stay within budget is $250,000.